Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this, the Large Blast podcast. Who is the biggest cunt in 40k edition? So pull yourself up an overpriced swanky beer and spark up a menthol cigarette and get ready to be bombarded with cuntery. I'm your host, Stoney, and I'm joined as always by Welshie.
I sometimes just can't think of something good to say.
And Matt.
Obey your orders!
And we like to get things kicked off with a little section we call Hobbies Goings On, where we take a look into some of the goings on that have been happening in the hosts' lives. So, Matt, what has been going on in your life, hobby-wise?
I have been a bit distracted recently, but I have played my first Sisters of Battle game using my Sisters of Battle, and that was quite interesting. And I've got my second one tomorrow, which I'm looking forward to. So I've been trying to build as much as I can to get a 1,500 and 2,000 point army together. So I have lots of half-finished, barely assembled models
minus
around
10 points.
my room. They have 3 coats of paint on, but they are like, they're not finished. they're not finished. And I don't like doing that because I don't think I'll ever finish them. Do you know what I mean? And actually it's just felt like a real chore just trying to get them done. When you're kind of like, I need to have it done because I want to play the game.
It's more of a chore than a hobby at that stage. Yeah.
So that's basically where I am.
So you've been putting in the time, putting in the grind, getting down in the muck with what Warhammer's about sometimes. So
yeah.
How many Repentia have you got?
Tomorrow I'm going to be using 8 with a Repentia sergeant, whatever she's called.
Not enough.
No, but I will be investing in more. That's just all I have.
So this is your second time playing with the sisters.
Yeah, that's right. The miracle dice it's really fun. It's really good. I love that.
It's really fun. It's really fun when a person you're playing can just change your damage 1 to 6. It's really fun.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, Welshie, what have you been up to? Anything interesting?
Well, I think since the last time we recorded an episode, I played the last Fun Hammer. First 3 games with the Gene Stealer Colts, new codex, which was mentally draining. I was exhausted. Crazy amounts of rules, crazy amounts of things that have to go right in the right order. A mad day to go to a tournament having not played the new codex at all and play 3 games in a row was probably a bit of an ask. But played some really nice guys, played friend of the show, Nick, as one of them at random. But I walked away from the day. I just felt really bad about 9th. I mean, I lost 2 out of 3, but I didn't lose that badly. I don't think it was because I lost games. I just came away through no fault of the people I played against, just thinking, this isn't the game I remember playing. I remember playing a game where everyone put time into making models and everybody pretty much knew all of the available rules. But now when you play Warhammer, you've got no idea what the person you're playing is capable of. And it's a very different game than it used to be. To have a level playing field where you can understand what your opponent is able to do is almost impossible unless you're continuously reading every rules update. And it's fun as a result of that. There's loads of thematic stuff that happens, but it doesn't feel as fair. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe it. I left the tournament wishing for one big rule book that had all the rules in, and you knew all the rules. Your army might not have had all the rules, but you knew all the rules. Yeah. And I kind of missed that.
It's a shame. And I know that it's been a while since we talked about it, but it's a shame that app never got off the ground where you could just check other people's rules, with your phone or whatever. That would be.
You can. I mean, you can do that on things like Wikipedia. You could just look up what stratagems, but there's so many. It's not a case of, whereas in the olden days, you'd look it up and they'd have the keywords, they'd have these 4 rules, and you'd just go to the index and you'd know the 4 rules because lots of armies had those 4 rules. Now you've got to read scrolling text to work out what these things are capable of. And I don't know, it's fun because it's thematic, but it didn't seem as balanced as I remember it being.
Feels as though you've been kind of gently souring towards ninth for a little while now, Welshie.
I mean,
after initially coming in glowing about it, now it feels a bit like I've heard you mention a couple of times about things that are kind of, you know, grinding your gears when it comes to ninth now. So
I think it's just too much. It's too much to keep hold of. I feel like I'm not the kind of player that plays every single week, and I'm not the kind of person who has enough time to watch endless match reports and stay on top of things. Whenever I go and play a game now, a load of things happen that I didn't even know were possible. You know, not that I didn't see coming, that I just didn't know were possible. And things like there's so many mortal wounds now, which was a mechanic that initially in ninth was reserved for very few things. There were some cool psychic powers that did it, and you were aware of them. And now they happen so often because you don't get any save to them. It's just like, oh, okay. My unit's just dead. It's not, oh, I've got to make 5-6 up saves. Maybe I'll do it. That's fun. It's just, I'm dead now because I didn't put a relic in my list that happens to give me some saves to mortal wounds. I don't know what it is. It's just there's too much to make it feel like you're on a level playing field with the person you're playing against. So the good news that's come out of all of this is that I sacked off 40k for a week. I got my metal Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring figures out that I painted when I was 12, 20 years ago this year, stripped them all, and have been painting some sweet Lord of the Rings figures and doing like comparison photos. And that's been really cheering me up. So that's what I've been up to this week.
Cool. So some hobby to clear out some of the cobwebs.
Yeah, I still enjoy playing 40k, but it's not the game I remember playing. And maybe that's a good thing. Maybe some people prefer it. I think I might end up playing Horus Heresy.
That is the mature gentleman's choice, is the Forge World range. We all know that. Yeah, well, I mean, I've been struggling to find enough time to do anything really, so I still haven't really managed to get any Warhammer done, which is annoying because I've got the stuff which I did around December time, the beginnings of my Genestealer Cult army, and I've got my Genestealer Cult limo sat here, and it's so close to being finished. It just needs a little bit of tinkering. Like you can still see the milliput box that it's made out of, like initially underneath, but like the rest of it is starting to look a lot like a Genestealer Cult limo.
Yeah.
And has it got some kind of rocket boosters rather than wheels?
It's going to be
some
floating.
Kind of
it's going to be like a hover guy. So I really need to it's annoying because it's sat here on my desk looking at me. I put it on my desk this week to try to get me to do it, but I just never found the time. It's really annoying me. So I'm really determined over the next month or so to try to finish off some of these models because it's annoying having them around and unfinished, you know. I have done a little bit. I did a bit of 3D printing. I've done a bit of 3D printing. I've separately 3D printed another model, which was just kind of for fun and practice on the ZBrush and stuff. But I haven't actually got my hands dirty, you know. I've been tucked away behind my computer, scratching and scrolling with my mice and that. And I want my hands, you know, I want to be stinky milliput hands is what I need now.
I'm excited to play some Genestealer Cults games with you because despite being a headache, they are great fun. It is really good fun to play.
Well, exactly. I haven't even had a chance to get my head around these new rules. And I mean, we've talked before about the fact that, you know, in December, I bought a load of new stuff for my Genestealer Cult, put it all together, and it literally made about 90 points worth of materials. So, you know, so it's a lot. It's a big time investment. I mean, it's always a big time investment making a fully customized army, but it's a bigger time investment when the stuff you're making is only worth like fucking 2 points a piece or whatever the fuck's going on. So you know,
wait till every unit that pops up gets destroyed within one turn.
Exactly. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't mind that so much as long as it gets a bit of time on the board and someone goes, "Whoa, you're cool for making that." Then I don't care how long it lasts. You know, I think that I did get a little bit demoralized by the amount, seeing the actual size of the task I was undertaking back in December. So I kind of put it down for a little while, and I just never found the time to pick it back up again. Yeah, so. I'm looking forward to getting some paints out, doing some spraying, you know, some sanding and some of that kind of good shit.
Get dirty.
It's the news. Wow. It's the chuffing news.
Have you heard? 6s are now 4s.
It's the news.
Gene Stealer Limo's back.
News. So there's more rumour engines. We've got an Auspex scanner, most definitely. A picture of a guy with an Auspex scanner and a wing. What could these be? What do we think? We don't always talk about the rumour engine stuff when it comes out.
It's the Cadian Kaskan. This is very exciting. Sorry,
I knew Matt would be excited. Go ahead, Matt.
Very
you can go
exciting.
First.
All right, let's hear. Let's see. Matt has bust this rumor apparently, so let's hear it.
I'm so excited by this. You can tell. I'll tell you how I can tell. I can tell by the camouflage paint pattern on the wrist is 100% Cadian stormtroopers, the Kaskern, which we discussed in the Imperial Guard episode. Go back and listen to more interesting facts about them. But this is very exciting. This is very exciting because the metal models are amazing. Love them so much. This is very cool. What it does mean maybe is that we're not getting a different faction of Guard, which does disappoint me a little bit because I really wanted Plastic Steel Legion.
Can I ask a Guard-related question, Matt? What are the difference between the Kaskan, however you say them, and the Militarum Tempestus Scions? Are they actually different?
Yeah, the Militarum Tempestus, which are the stormtroopers, they come from the Scholar Progenium, the same school that the commissars go to, and so they all go there to learn their stuff. But the Kaskern are they're like people that are really good from Cadian regiments get promoted into like this elite formation of regiments. Okay,
but their kind of loadout, their armor and their weaponry looks kind of the same. Similar.
Yeah. They're Cadian stormtroopers.
Okay. That's cool.
That's all that they are.
There's a bit of variation there because I don't know how easy it is to include like scions within a standard regiment. Perhaps these will just fall in the normal codex.
I mean, I'm kind of bemused that you've managed to get so much from this picture of an Auspex scanner. To be honest with you, I mean, this could be like just a dude with a mobile phone, as far as I can tell.
It's the camouflage pattern on the wrist.
You see a camouflage pattern, and I see a raised edge. So I'm not sure if we're even on the same page.
We will find out.
Well, so we've got a wing as well, a sort of a tattered wing kind of thing, which could be some kind of monster, could be chaosy, could be gene stealery. We don't know, because I was wondering whether this might be part of the new possessed kit for the chaos, because that is a
chaosy.
Kit. Because that is definitely a kit that needs an update, and this kind of reminds me of the wings of from the old set.
You know, the Bloodthirster. This is kind of the stuff that should have been on the wings of the Bloodthirster, I think. So a bit more holy.
Don't do this to me, guys, because you know full well this is a goddamn Tyranid wing. You know it. You know it.
Could it be the flying Tyranid things called?
So
I think it might be squats coming back, guys.
You know how excited I am for a new Tyranid model. I think this could be one of two things. You're right. When you say possessed, it looks quite small. It doesn't look like a massive beastie's wing, but it could be the old warriors that used to have wings. So there used to be warriors with wings that were Forge World, and I don't think you can even run them anymore. But that would be cool, the kind of big troops with wings. But I'm really hoping it's a character that's been in the lore for ages, which would go along with the tail we saw on the rumor engine, which is the parasite of Mortrex that we talked about on an episode a long time ago. He's a bit like old One Eye, a kind of Tyranid special character that could fly, and it injects like baby Tyranids into people on the parapets of fortresses, and then it just kind of bursts out and fucks people up as it kind of flies by. So I really hope that this is the parasite of Mortrex, because that would be really cool to see a new named character in the Tyranid range.
So Warhammer Plus, it's been a controversial service that Games Workshop have offered. Up until now, Matt and Welsh have both been kind of behind it, but it sounds like a turn is on the horizon. They're turning on it. They're not releasing episodes as quickly as people would like, and that goes extra special for the Exodite, the new Tau cartoon that they've got playing away on there. So you guys, fill me in on this. Let me know what's going on.
Well, Matt, I know you really enjoyed the Exodite the other day. So what did you think about the Exodite episode 1?
I mean, Stoney, you've just called it a cartoon, but this baby is, I mean, I Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I haven't actually watched the second one yet, which is on now. But I felt that unlike the Blood Angels series that we had in the last season, I felt it portrayed the galaxy and the size of 40k well. I enjoyed the aspect of it being non-human, and I felt it was different to everything else that they'd had on there. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the sound effects. I enjoyed the cinematic attempt that they made.
I agree.
Really
I think that first episode was really good. We're looking at the news from Warhammer community here, where they said that there's going to be a delay on episode 2, but there's
I didn't
more.
See this.
Yeah, so there's going to be a delay. It's not going to come out when they said. So I don't think it's actually out yet, Matt. Maybe I'm wrong.
Oh, right.
But there's more episodes coming, and we just seem to have constant updates from Warhammer community that there's more coming. There'll be more. There'll be more. There'll be more.
Yeah.
And actually, there just hasn't been that much. I still, don't get me wrong, I think that this is great value for money. I paid very little. I've enjoyed what I've seen so far. I'm getting a great model at the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't feel cheated at all.
But, I
just think it's another thing they haven't done well in terms of
this
releasing.
has to be a scheduling issue. Like the whole series must have been done by the time they released the first episode. Surely it's not like there's people beavering away trying to draw the second episode.
I'm not sure.
I think this one they are beavering away, because this came on YouTube a month. The trailer for the Exodite was like literally a month before they started kicking people off YouTube, and they set up Warhammer Plus. And I think they grabbed them not like Astartes that was already done. I think they grabbed them right at the beginning when they just made the trailer.
Right.
And then Games Workshop got involved and were like, right, we need these episodes by this date.
Okay, so maybe this is some teething problems with the guy going professional and having to work on a schedule, if that's the case. But it does seem odd to me that they would, but that's the way they would do it, is as soon as one's done, you put it out. I mean, I guess that's what they do with Japanese cartoons, but it still seems like
that's
very Games Workshop.
Yeah. I wonder how much of it was, in an ideal world, they'd launch this service with like 3 series is ready to go that they could guarantee they release every week. But if they'd done that, there would have been a big period of time between cancelling the YouTube channels and releasing Warhammer Plus, where everyone would have moaned. So I do feel like they couldn't win either way, but it is kind of sad how little we're getting in terms of these new animations. And if they want to put the price up or something next year, we're going to want to see more in the next few months.
I agree with everything you've said about value for money. I do certainly wonder how I would feel if I didn't know that I was getting that model at the end. Like, how would you feel if we weren't getting that model? We're paying.
But the model swayed it. The model was why.
That's what I mean, though. If they didn't give us that carrot, would we be looking at this differently? Because we'd be paying 50 quid for
not a lot
that much.
Yeah,
and some of them end up on YouTube.
I 100% agree. Without the model, I would be sad.
It's back, baby. Cursed City, some of the spiciest models Games Workshop has ever made. It got snatched up in a heartbeat when it dropped, and it's back. I'm very tempted to get my hands on this. I'll be honest with you, boys. I think these are really cool models. I like these boxed games that Games Workshop do, where you can just sit down and just play a fucking game, and you don't need to worry about, like you say, what rules are going on or whatever, because it's you versus the game. And I don't know anything about the actual game. Do you guys know anything about how you play this or what not?
I mean, I think it's the same mechanic as Blackstone Fortress.
It's Warhammer Quest, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's got to be
Quest,
so it's got to be Silver Tower and stuff like that, I imagine.
But as you say, it's something that you can get your head around. You can get it out. You can play it in a couple of hours. All the rules are on a tiny bit of A5 in front of you. And as we said when this came out, it is the best range of models in a single box Games Workshop has ever released, in my opinion.
Down. It's amazing stuff.
So and this is made to order.
Made to order. So you've got a 2-week period to order this, and they guarantee you'll get one. So as of the 5th of March, whenever you listen to this, 2 weeks from the 5th of March, get your order in, and they'll guarantee you get one. The downside of that is going to be that you obviously will not be able to buy this from any subsidiary retailers at the 20% discount. So it will be a full price made to order. Well, there were lots of rumors, weren't there, about this? And I think we settled on the cardboard bits and the books are all made in China. And in the middle of COVID and post-Brexit, that was what prevented this from going further. And maybe they have a paper shop set up in Nottingham now. Who knows?
I mean, it is strange because if this is, if we're looking at this is sort of similar to Silver Tower or one of those, or Blackstone Fortress, one of those kind of games where it's got these very unique models in that people lost their minds over. But this one, it came and went. It wasn't like, but the Silver Tower box and the Blackstone Fortress box both ended up getting individual releases where you could buy models from the box separately. And weirdly, they did do that with Cursed City, but it was for some of the shittest models in the box. It was for the ones that no one was excited about, like the zombies. I think you can now buy as a separate group, but no one wants those. People want those vampire hunters. They want those sexy vampires, and the other cool stuff that's in the box. So it is a very strange box set, a very strange piece of Warhammer history, this box.
I think they might have been holding back to release those individual models until they could get this back on the shelves, because they'll sell a load of these and then in a couple of months you'll be able to buy them separately. Just finishing on the books, I decided to buy the Chapter Approved this year, which is the little book with new missions in and updates for the 40k rules. And I did notice that on the back of that, those are now printed in the UK. So
interesting.
And all those kind of books before, even a lot of the codices started to be printed in China. So I think that could well be the reason behind this.
Yeah. Sold.
It would kind of make
podcast.
sense as well with that survey and everything, and this releasing of stuff. What's it, 4 times a year they do now or whatever? So yeah, it would kind of make sense. They change it all up. All right, well, there you have it. Get out there and buy that shit.
Okay, the next bit of news is actually also a little game I thought I'd play with you. If you haven't seen the article about the Avatar of Khaine on Warhammer Community, this is, if you listen to the great new model Spotlight style on YouTube, we love this model. I think we gave it an A on our model Spotlight.
It was. Everyone. A's all across the board.
Top model. Power creep has always been a thing in 40k, but it seems to be getting more and more as every new codex comes out. So this is an article that they had where they put the Avatar of Khaine up against a number of models one-on-one to see what it could beat. Have either of you two read this article? Do you know the outcome of these fights?
No.
Okay, so we're going to do it. These are 1v1 Avatar of Khaine versus models. I don't know what the points contrasts are. I don't know how many points the Avatar of Khaine is, but you can imagine he's going to be a few hundred points. So they put him up against one of the big boy Primaris dreadnoughts. Who wins that fight?
Avatar of Khaine.
Yeah, easy. That's gonna. You definitely want your main Catan style to take out a Redemptor. Avatar versus Marnius Calgar, who halves incoming damage with his special armor.
Avatar of Khaine.
Still got to go Avatar.
Avatar, good, makes sense. Avatar of Khaine versus the Keeper of Secrets.
Avatar of Khaine.
Oh, I guess by the law it should probably be Avatar of Khaine, but the Keeper of Secrets is a beast.
Avatar absolutely smashed it to pieces. Yeah, not even close there, maybe. Avatar of Khaine versus all of the Chaos models in the new Chaos Eldritch Omens box set. So that's a couple of characters, Chaos Warband, a few Possessed, and the Hell, whatever that tank thing is.
Hell Brute.
Yeah.
Avatar of Khaine.
Got to go Avatar of Khaine.
Yeah, smashed it. Avatar of Khaine versus a 550-point fully tricked out Baneblade.
Man, well, I mean, don't get me started on the Baneblade. These things should have a 2+ save. A Lehman Russ has got a 2+ save, but this thing is a super heavy Imperial Guard tank with a 3+ save. The armor is at least 3 foot thick, for Christ's sake. I mean, this thing has got rivets on the size of a house. The Avatar.
So presumably you're going Baneblade.
No, the Avatar of Kane.
It's got to be Avatar of Kane's a close combat guy, and let's face it,
tanks can fire in close combat now. Remember,
it's not their strongest point, though, is it? Really, no. Let's face it. So I'm gonna go Avatar of Kane.
So I know you're not going to be driving a Baneblade purposefully into the Avatar of Kane, and I don't know how many points the Avatar of Kane is, but he ain't going to be 550.
No,
he survived the first round of shooting. And then the Avatar of Kane did 28 wounds onto the Baneblade in one round of combat.
Yeah.
Oh, mama.
Avatar of Kane versus Mortarion.
Well, it's got to be Mortarion, right?
No, I think the Avatar of Kane.
Oh, Matt, you were almost 100%. Mortarion, the only thing in Warhammer that can stand up to our new, very highly rated model. I don't know how many points it is. I should have looked because this would have been a better segment.
It's 270 points.
But it is crazy that they just bring out a model and it just smashes everything to pieces. Yeah. But
I mean,
cool.
At the same time, it is an avatar of a god.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. One of the things I was thinking, especially after doing some of this model spotlight stuff, I was starting to wonder if maybe over a long enough period of time, Eldar are the cheapest army to play because they get so few updates.
Yeah.
All you need to, like, if I still had an Eldar army from 20 years ago when I very first started playing Warhammer, then I would have only needed to buy some new models like a couple of weeks ago.
Rolling in my 6-4.
In the year 1976, the world has already started to fill up with dickheads and toss pirates.
Carrying a concealed weapon, the switchblade.
Knowing that the future needs heroes, not cunts, to survive, the secret military testing lab at Buckingham Palace, UK, created a time machine with the idea to change the future, to make things better in the past, or some shit like that. Don't think about it. They formed a specialist team of expert agents with steely hearts, quick minds, and quicker trigger fingers. That team was the Bastard Squad. They were formed of Sergeant Welshie,
martial arts expert and black belt demolitions.
Major Stoney, wheelman and master of disguise, and Matt.
I've got Lego stuck up my bum.
Their mission was simple: to take a law-mandated certificate of arrest signed by the Queen herself and take down one massive cunt in the year 40,000 to make everybody's life better in a time paradox that will somehow fix things in the past. Like I said before, shut up and don't think about it.
All of this
This is the tale of the Bastard Squad and their mission to take out Warhammer 40k's biggest cunt. So you've joined us, the Bastard Squad, on our mission to track down 40k's biggest cunts. So we've got in front of us a number of portfolios of potential cunts, and we've got one license of arrest. So we need to work out who is the biggest arsehole. Who would 40k miss the least if we arrested them and took them back to our time? We're looking for some new guys, some under the radar people that we might not have talked about on the show in the past.
A deep dive, Stoney, you son of a bitch.
Deep dives, that's right. I've got a couple of case folders here. I was wondering you guys could maybe take a look. I know, obviously, Matt, you're only one day away from retirement, but first up, I was thinking we could maybe talk a little bit about Mephitran the Deceiver. Have you guys ever heard of this guy, the Necron that tricked all the Necrons into giving up their bodies?
I certainly do.
Per profile for Mephitran the Deceiver, aka Catan Star God of lies, trickery, manipulation and deceit. This whacked out jive turkey might look like a hippie acrobat, but he's wanted by the Bastard Squad for deceit of the Necron race. This punk tricked the Silent King by teaching him the biotransformation process, granting the Necrons their steely bodies, and eventually making them lose their minds.
Race destroyer. If we're ranking, it's going to be difficult to top a guy that removes an entire race's souls in exchange for living forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's very Thousand Son-esque, but I feel like this guy was more of a cunt. He's done it once, might do it again. He can appear on the battlefield, can't he? You can have him
you can have a bit of him, the shard of the Deceiver. So they got smashed up, didn't they? So you can have a little bit of him in a body. But yeah, he's got some really cool rules where when you play him, you can like redeploy. I think it's 3 units from your army, so you can do some real like, I don't know, cup under the ball tricks, kind of moving shit around, which is quite cool. But yeah, that whole deal, he basically went and found a load of cancer victims and offered them eternal life, but also took their souls and their humanity away. So
yeah, that's pretty low.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that at this point in time, it's hard to feel sorry for the Necrons because they're just an army of Terminators, like kind of relentlessly marching on the Imperium of Man, of which we are all a part of. But at the same time, feels a bit like, there was some cuntery involved. And I think this guy could be up there as one of 40K's biggest cunts. Have you had you've had a chance to look through his folder? Do you think
the only thing though, I've been in the business long enough. I mean, motive, his motive, I can't even remember what his motive was, but I think it was maybe there was in part a genuine motive. Does that make him a cunt still?
Well,
Makes
it was
him
in
less
the
of a cunt.
Yeah, maybe because wasn't part of this to get the Necron on side, or was this as this is testing my theory here, but they were fighting the old ones, right?
The old ones, yeah.
The Catan and the Necron team up. But was this the thanks for the Necron helping them, or was this the we'll do this to you and then you help us?
I thought it was the plan to be able to defeat the old ones. Like you blow them all up and you hide, and then they all die out, and then you rise up in a few million years, and
I think that
they've all gone.
It's kind of one of those things where he's a tricky bastard. So it's one of those things where his plan is a little bit diffuse, actually.
Yeah,
and we might actually never really understand his motives because he is, after all, the deceiver.
But then I guess he in turn was deceived because he gave the Necrons so much power that they then destroyed the Catan. So he was the architect of his own downfall.
Yeah.
Does that make him less of a cunt? Stupid cunt, maybe.
Stupid cunt.
Well, let's put him in the stupid cunt file for now and come back to him later. What character catches you guys' eyes out here on this murderer's row of cunts?
Well, I stumbled across a particular cunt that is responsible for one of the most heinous acts we've ever described on the podcast. In fact, I think we voted it as most horrible thing in the entirety of 40K. And that man's name is Honsu. Or Honsao.
And he made the Invader ATV. Perp profile Honsu. This Jive Turkey Tin Man rose through the ranks of the Iron Warriors to become one of their greatest champions. He's even helped lead an assault on Ultramar alongside the Demon Prince Makar, a true enemy of the Corpse Emperor, and he's in the Bastard Squad sights.
He was bullied, so you might think that gives him a bit of reason for being a cunt, but I think his country is beyond that of being bullied. He was bullied because half his gene seed is Iron Warriors and half his gene seed is Imperial Fists. So he's got a little bit of both there. And he is the man responsible for designing and building the Demonculaba, which we have discussed before, the chaos way of taking a adolescent human and sewing them into a womb of an enlarged female in order to turn them into Chaos Space Marines. He is the man that came up with that hideous, most grotesque of things in 40K.
And I mean, that's after turning to Chaos, I imagine, or was this some kind of accident?
So he was a Iron Warrior, so he was in one of the Chaos Legions. And yes, obviously afterwards, he's partnered up with demons, bloodthirsters. He's fucked over the Ultramarines many times. He stole one of the Ultramarine commanders' arms, which I still don't really understand because it's necrodermis. Why an Ultramarine had a necrodermis arm, I'm not quite sure, but he's a real
this guy,
tough cookie.
He kind of seems like the Elon Musk of cunts. 40K cunts, as in he's an inventor. He made something, and a lot of people think he's a cunt. Sounds like a bit of a smug arsehole, hanging out with demons and stuff. That's a bit like going on the Joe Rogan podcast, I guess, in today's world. So, yeah, I mean, at least he's creative, but still sounds like a bit of a cunt.
Yeah, I think if you interviewed the unfleshed, which were the things that don't grow properly from the wombs of the women that just come out as like skinless flesh monsters, they would probably agree that he is a cunt.
Yeah, that he's definitely got to go on the pile of cunts. But I think that maybe we also need to, because there's so many cunts in 40K, this is the thing, is like, in some ways, being the person that invented a gross 40K machine that does the grossest thing in the universe, is maybe not as bad as someone like Angeron or someone that's out there kind of physically, this guy invented a machine to do wholesale cuntery, whereas Angeron is such a cunt. He doesn't have time to sit around and invent machines. He's too busy being a cunt.
You're saying that he would be more of a cunt if he was just going round the universe, taking women and shoving adolescent men inside them.
I mean, yeah,
like
I
one
feel
at a
like
time.
it'd have less of a purpose outside of him just trying. It sounds like he's not a hands-on cunt. He's there. He's pushing the be a cunt button on the wall in his office. He's not like you say jamming cunts in cunts.
Yeah. And the whole creation of that thing was for a purpose. It was to create Chaos Space Marines. So there was a
following orders
behind that.
Is that where you're going with this?
I mean, kind of, yeah. But I have an interesting file here, which surprises me greatly. But this might be quite an interesting conversation. And I think, Stoney, you were alluding to the fact that, like, basically we kind of been talking about evil people. So this guy is called Gulliman, and he's in the cunt pile.
I had him on my radar too.
Per profile Reboot Gilliman, aka the Primarch of the Ultramarines. This 2-bit pretty boy wrote the book on being a good soldier and acts like butter wouldn't melt in his mouth. But is he really the light of the universe, or just a lackey performing evil deeds for a sinister organization?
He's come back to the 40th millennium, and he hasn't killed all the crazy religious people that his father would want him to do. He, in the 30th millennium, tried to create his own empire, which is very controversial. And he consequently wasn't able to save his father being entombed on the Golden Throne because him and his legion were off in the 500 worlds on the other side of the galaxy. What needed him.
What makes him maybe even more nefarious is people praised him for his actions and they hold him up as this beacon of uncuntishness, whereas actually maybe this is all a charade and he is just a huge bastard.
I think your point there about him not being able to stick to his own morals, I think we can all agree if the Lion had come back and seen people believe in all this religious rubbish, he would have had none of it. Gilliman's just kind of come back and just not stood up for anything that he actually believed in, just going along with it. What's that all about? And can you imagine working for him? Oh, Rebooty, I've come up with this great idea. Why don't we try next time we go in battle, outflanking them, like over here? Sorry, that's not in the Codex of Stars. But it'd be a great idea. No, but loads of people are going to die. That is, it's not in the book,
absolutely,
mate.
Absolutely, because you go to him, you're like, oh, I've got this good idea to do something. He's like, no, it's not in the book. The fucker wrote the goddamn book.
Yeah. You wrote this 10,000 years ago. They weren't even demons. Outrageous.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute piece of shit. But is he a cunt? Is he the biggest cunt? I mean, even on the Imperium side, we've got a couple of cunts.
Man,
this guy wasn't on my list, but now we're talking Gulliman. I feel like Rogel Dawn in every single fucking Black Library book I've ever read with him in is a complete tool. He just never ever have I come away thinking like, oh, you know what I want to do? Hang out with Rogel fucking Dawn. He seems like a bell end.
Yeah, I'd say boring guy. Not someone you want at a dinner party. Great mustache, nothing else. But I don't think cunt.
Here's a good one. Here's a big contender for biggest cunt in the universe, I would say, and that's Fabius Bile.
Per profile Fabius Bile. This badass whammer jammer's rap sheet is as long as a skinned snake and twice as gory. During the heresy, he tried to convince other emperors' children to embrace Slanesh, cloned Horus, and has performed countless horrific experiments on anyone or anything he can get his hands on. Truly a Mengele-level cunt, and high on the bastard squad's most wanted list.
Feels like he's running around. Is he really accomplishing anything sciencey, or is he just kind of being a cunt at this stage? He's got, like we've known in the past, he made clones of Horus. All of this, didn't he? And he never really even did anything with them. I think Abaddon ends up killing the clones of Horus because they disgust him so much because they're such an empty, hollow shell of a thing. So if even the leader of your own side, who you're supposedly doing all this stuff in aid of, thinks you're an asshole for doing it. Isn't he being chased around by Death Guard at the very minute? He's nicked like their book of decay or some shit, and they're fucking chasing him around. So he's not even liked by his own faction.
He's definitely a contender for least liked person in 40k. If that's the cunt definition we're going for.
I don't know.
No one likes him. He's not friends with anybody.
Yeah, but that's why he's kind of cool in 40k. What about Lucius? I think Lucius is more of a cunt than Fabius Bile.
Well, I'd say that they're both kind of cut from the same cloth. I mean, obviously they were both Emperor's children, and Lucius is very much his own person, going around doing his own thing. Lucius is mostly getting in there and having fights with Space Marines and stuff. He's not that. I think I haven't heard of him, stealing people and sewing them together and that kind of thing.
I think their common trait, both of them, is arrogance, but in very different ways, isn't it? Lucius just is arrogant. He just thinks he is the best, whereas Fabius thinks he is able to achieve the best. He's able to make the best humans. He's able to do the best things and change the galaxy. He's very external in the way that he thinks is the best, whereas Lucius is very internal.
I've got a really fat folder here, and it's just got the 12 written on it. Which I think alludes to the 12 High Lords of Terror.
Per profile, the High Lords of Terror. These pompous piss stains control the day-to-day lives of your average man in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. Everything from laws to religion. If you think it looks shit to be a run-of-the-mill citizen in Warhammer 40k, you've got these jingoistic cunts to blame. But it doesn't matter how politically protected you are. The bastard squad always gets their man, and there's no hiding from the law.
Biggest cunts in the universe, because everyone we've said, they have a purpose and a meaning that they're trying to do. Fabius Bile is trying to do his own genetic experiments. Guilliman is trying to keep the Imperium together. The Necron guy had a purpose in what he did. The 12 High Lords of Terror don't care about anything other than themselves, and their entire purpose is to make their existence last longer, and they will sacrifice entire worlds and star systems so that they can survive. I'm struggling to come up with examples.
I understand what you're saying. I think that in order to be the biggest cunt in the universe, you've got to have enough sway over a bunch of other people as well. So you've got to be able to spread your cuntishness far and wide. And like you say, you're probably right there. Like Lucius and Fabius, they're just kind of going around. They're doing them. They're like that smiling space marine that everybody was joking about. They're just out there having a good time, just getting on with the things that they enjoy doing. But these High Lords of Terror are actively making other people's lives worse for no real reason, and kind of on the back of doing something good and just, which is always, the sign of an arsehole.
Yeah. I think that the High Lords of Terror have. I don't think they're all completely out for personal gain, are they? They must have some belief in the Imperium as a whole.
But do you not have to? Surely, by the time you've become a High Lord of Terror, you must be pretty jaded and kind of sort of brainwashed into kind
You've
of
passed a psychopath test, that's for sure.
Yeah,
by the time you get there. So I've got another file here that has a red eye on the front, with a skull on top of it. And this guy, I'm putting right up there. And his name is Fyodor Karamazov. And we've mentioned him before.
Perp profile, Inquisitor Karavanov, fellow lawman turned bad apple. This whacked-out screwball thinks everybody is guilty and is responsible for the deaths of thousands of innocent people under the charade of heresy. But sweet Lady Justice knows no bias, and she's all up in the bastard squad's DMs.
He likes to ride round in a chair, doesn't even walk. That's how much of an arse he is. And I've got
big trousers.
A little quote from him here, just to give you a taste of his country.
There is no such thing as a plea of innocence in my court. A plea of innocence is guilty of wasting my time, and therefore guilty.
You could not work with this guy.
No.
It doesn't matter. If you're judged by him, you are judged guilty if you even enter his presence. So much so that even the ecclesiarchy and an entire half of the Inquisition hate him. He's hated by his bosses, he's hated by his servants, and he's hated by literally everyone he meets because he's going to succumb them to death.
Yeah. And I mean, and you are absolutely right. The fact that he's pricking about on a pair of fucking trousers, big robotic legs that take him from place to place, that's a cunt move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just straight up. I can't think of any redeeming features for him.
No, he is. He's definitely got to be up there. If we're talking about the amount of suffering caused to like the normal person or whatever in 40k, then he could maybe be up there, to be fair.
Yeah, I don't think anyone gets out of his radius alive. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, no.
But then maybe as a result of that, people don't really know about him.
I mean,
if you kill so many people, the stories don't get passed on. Yeah, you would hear him coming. Yeah. Perhaps that's his problem.
Maybe it's got a tiptoe setting.
Perhaps that's why he judges everyone guilty, because the first thing he ever hears anyone say is, "Look at this cunt walking over here in his leg chair."
I think this is a different kind of cunt. I think Karamov, this is one of those kind of guys who's got the small dick and buys the fancy big car. Do you know what I mean? He's overcompensating, you know, his love for the emperor. He's out there. He's one of those kind of guys that's got the Ferrari gloves and the jacket and all of that kind of thing. He's one of those kind of pricks. I think he's more annoying than a prick, because maybe if you strip all of that stuff away from him, you'll probably find he's just a pathetic little twat rather than a cunt, you know? Just with a bit jumped up and with too much power.
I've heard he gets that little typist servitor in the bit on the arm next to him just to draw him little pornos every now and then as well.
Just keeps passing him pictures of pussies.
This where 10,000 Dicks was actually first penned. That's a throwback to an early episode for the real fans.
Yeah. Well, I feel like, you know, we've done a couple of we've got some Chaos Boys in there. We've got some Imperium guys. They're all in the mix, and you know, any one of those people could be the world's biggest cunt. But I think that maybe depending on their motives, the Tau Ethereals might be the universe's biggest cunts, because very shifty, because depending on what this greater good actually is, if the greater good really is just licking the Ethereals' assholes and fucking bringing them cups of tea or whatever, then that's a dick move. Do you know what I mean? And they've duped several races of people into this lifestyle of theirs. And then all of a sudden, if it does all turn out to be a big old pile of shit, or like Scientology or something, where they're just making up a bunch of lies and taking their money and their resources, then that's a pretty dickish move, if you ask me.
I see them like that as a kind of late 60s, 70s cult leader. You know, come round. Isn't it wonderful here? Oh, now I've slept with your girlfriend, but it's fine. We like to share here.
Yeah,
you stumbled in. And you found her putting her hoof in that like funny head hole that they've got. You know, that's the kind of
no, definitely.
way.
I do. I think you're right. I think when the Tau is finally over, we will have a lot of disturbing stories from weird races with weird orifices talking about the many things that the Ethereals deemed fit to jam up them.
Yeah, that's right. And you know, he's got a rainmaker, and that's just the worst instrument.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think they're selling dream catchers, they're making rainmakers, they're just being annoying hippies, really. So yeah, I think that maybe they're not the biggest cunts in the universe yet, but I think that we shouldn't take them off our radar. They should remain on our watch list of cunts for the future, maybe.
Yeah, I'm retiring tomorrow, so I wish you luck with that endeavor.
What about whilst we're on the Zenus point, Matt? You might know a bit more about him from the olden days, but Asdrubal, I had to look up his first name, Asdrubal Vect, who is the supreme overlord of Camorra. He is one of your main man, Dark Eldar. He's got to be responsible for some serious country.
I sort of think maybe all the Dark Eldar as a race might be able to go into this biggest cunt in the universe, to be honest with you. It seems like because I mean they're kind of they sort of intentionally lean away from things that other Eldar think are good, essentially, don't they? They're kind of doing bad things because they're bad. So I mean, they are maybe the most textbook definition of a cunt, because they've identified the right thing to do and then chosen to do the opposite.
Or maybe that means that Vect isn't that much of a cunt, because he's essentially in charge of Las Vegas, right? And all the people gambling in Las Vegas, they're having a great time. The Dark Eldar love living there. It's only the few people that come and lose all their money, the addicts, that are actually sad about it. He's providing a whole, is it a craft world, Kimura? I don't know, but he's providing a home to a lot of people, making them very happy, even if what they're doing is very bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I think that you're absolutely right. I mean, the only thing might be is to lead a bunch of cunts, you might just have to have adopted the mega cunt role. So to rule with a iron cunt, if you like. I mean, it could be a case of that. If you take him down the pub on his own, he's actually like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of being a cunt. I just want to kick back. And
sorry, I'm in the middle of gluing some magnets on this Battle Sisters, the tank with all the organs on, the Exorcist, and I'm gonna name it the Iron Cunt. Yeah, and I'm gonna write on it, from this moment, the Iron Cunt is fucking...
Hell yeah. I'll 3D print you a little Margaret Thatcher head to go on the front.
Maybe he's out then. Have we got anyone else in these files?
Yeah. Well, shall we talk a little bit about Abaddon?
Per profile, Ezekiel Abaddon, aka Abaddon the Despoiler, War Master of Chaos and Master of the Black Legion Chaos Space Marines. This jumped-up lowlife has led countless crusades against the Imperium of Man, and welcomes all factions of chaos under the flag of his Black Legion. But no matter how deep in the warp he may hide, he can never escape the long reach of the law.
He's kind of one of the main protagonists in 40k. He's picked up the Black Crusade, so he's carrying on Horus's legacy, but maybe in a way that's actually more honest than Horus did. Maybe I think that actually Abaddon is a much bigger cunt than Horus ever was, and that he's actually going in. I think that he is. I think that he's going into his Black Crusades eyes open. He knows the bad things that Chaos does. He knows that they're an evil, sinister power, whereas Horus was more tricked into it.
Maybe. I often think Abaddon gets a bad rep. I mean, Abaddon in 30k, I mean, he's a dick because of the way he's grown up fighting, but he's the most honest of the, he succumbs to dark, ruinous powers very much last, and is essentially just avenging his dad at this point.
That's sort of what I mean as well, is he knew better. He was the last person to go because he knew that this was a bad idea, really, and he kind of eventually just ended up sort of doing it anyway, in my eyes. And I mean, we talked a little bit before about the Fabius clone, when Fabius cloned Horus, and Abaddon found him disgusting because he thought of him as a fool. He thought of him as like this dumb, that he'd done a bunch of dumb shit basically, and that Abaddon was the true chosen one. He's not. He even plays all the chaos god. Even the chaos gods kind of don't like him. He plays them all off against each other and doesn't choose one. And let's not forget, he's the reason why we've still got a bunch of shitty models, chaos models coming out that are all painted black.
He chose black
rather than cool color schemes.
Yeah, that is true. Just for that, I might have to.
He does have a paint named after him.
He does.
True.
I can't put him really up there, but I can see your points there. I think there is some redeeming features about him.
I've noticed that we haven't talked at all about any orcs or any gene stealers, and it feels like they're not really that cuntish because they're just there, just kind of I think the orcs especially love fighting so much. They probably think they're spreading joy around the universe by going to these wargs and stuff. They probably think everybody's into fighting like we are, I
think they're living their best life.
Yeah,
they're loving it. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the gene stealers as well. Tyranids Same kind of thing.
Yeah. Do they even have the emotions? That's the who knows? What are they?
I mean, what about as well? Who's that Eldar? Is it Elfrek?
Ulfwan.
Yeah,
Ulfwan, whatever. Yeah,
the Wraithseer.
Eldritch.
Yeah, he's
Eldritch.
had a couple of dodgy incidents. Like, didn't he? Like he sort of directed a bunch of like Necrons or Gene Stealers or something away from a planet so that they could.
He's got his he's able to see a little bit in the future, I think, but he is kind of responsible for saving. Was able to to resurrect Gilliman. So I think in a way that and essentially that saved the Imperium, because the Imperium would have been defeated when Cadia fell. That would have been it. If Gilliman wasn't there for morale, if Gilliman wasn't there to take over the tactical situation, Gilliman did save the Imperium after the 13th Black Crusade. The Imperium would have been fucked. Abaddon would have fucked shit up. So in a way,
and I think that he also tried to save Fulgrim as well, didn't he? When Fulgrim was turning,
he warned. He popped up and warns people very early on in the Horus that shit's about to go down, but it doesn't go down well.
Okay.
But I don't know too much about him. He's Eldar. We don't do Eldar on this show. Who knows?
Yeah.
One last thing that has just popped into my head, that it could sway either way in a very Tiger King style, is our friend of the show, Trazin the Infinite.
Per profile, Trazin the Infinite. This malfunctioning old cyber prick travels around the universe collecting specimens for his ever-growing museum, or capturing or destroying anything that gets in his way, as well as getting up to some pretty sneaky plans, blurring the line between friend or foe to the Imperium. But will he be collecting something different tonight? A stint in cunt jail!
There's something cunty about taking beautiful things and putting them in boxes, but then there's also something special about it. I don't know.
Like a zoo, like you say.
Yeah.
I think the problem with putting Trazin the Infinite in the cunt collection for being basically a future geek is that we are all present day geeks, and we're all very much about collecting things and putting them in glass cases and whatnot.
But not living things.
That's true.
He someone that goes out and catches butterflies and gasses them and puts them in a box.
True.
It's beautiful, but it's kind of cunty.
Is that what they do?
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like that.
Not up there, but worth a mention, perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely a cunt. I mean, we said that we were going to skirt around Erebus because we've talked about him before. I mean, obviously, Erebus is a massive cunt.
Yeah.
But what about Lorgar? Because I mean, he gets this whole thing kind of kicked off, really, doesn't he? I mean, he is potentially duped as well. He's probably not as much of a cunt as Erebus is, but he's still up there. He was one of the people that started this whole religion-based nonsensery in the first place.
I think he's another one where he has things bred into him that he can't do anything about that might protect him a little bit from the cunty label. Like, it's not his fault he's a weak-ass fighter and he's just there to be adored and he's built to do something that his dad didn't want him to do.
Better put on another pot of coffee, Welshie. Looks like it's going to be a long night. Peace. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this part of the show, the random topic generator, where we generate a topic at random using the company dice, which Welshie keeps under lock and key and has extracted for this purpose. Do you have the company dice, Welshie?
Here they are. And it's a 3. If you were to pick anybody in the 40k universe to play Warhammer against, who would it be?
I mean, we're doing the cunt episode, and I feel like there's way more contenders for biggest cunts than there is for people you'd actually want to hang out with.
Yeah, I mean, you'd want them to be competitive, but not overly competitive, wouldn't you? Like, friendly enough to go for a beer, not someone that's going to cheat. So that rules out quite a lot.
All right, I think I've got someone. I reckon Logar Grimnar, the Space Wolf chapter master. Because they like their tabletop games, don't they?
Oh, they do, and they like a drink.
Reckon, you mentioned beer. We'd have a pint of Meod, and we would.
You'd be
have
dead.
A fun game. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that. I could see having a good day out with the Space Wolves on good form. Not too drunk. You'd have to make sure he stayed the right level of tipsy.
Yeah.
You know, kind of jolly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that they're not exactly, it's a bit of obscure lore, but I quite like cats, so I might just play with one of those guys from the feline planet. Like, I'd just be like, give them tickles behind their ear, that sort of thing. Just hang out with a big cat man all day. That would be quite fun.
That's so weird. You said that because I was thinking at that point, Jacaro, you wouldn't be able to chat with him, but he'd be a good player. He'd be friendly.
Yeah.
Every time you look at him, you'd have a smile on your face. Big old monkey playing Warhammer.
Exactly. He could play, he'd play some practical jokes, like he could draw a face on his big blue arse and we could laugh at it and things like that. I mean, we could, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to speak all the time.
No, but now you've kind of taken the animal thing there, so I'll have to think.
To be fair, if I've had this as my answer before, but if I wanted to win, I'd take the Emperor and just sit across from him, just beat his ass at Warhammer and be like, yeah, it's so big now,
that would be pretty boring though, wouldn't it?
Can't even roll the dice.
Yeah, exactly. Disqualified for being the fucking bag of bones.
If you're that close to him, he probably would be able to roll the dice with his mind.
Use his mind powers.
Oh god, that would be annoying. That would be the worst person to play with if you bought him there just for the sake of thinking you're just going to basically play like a big paperweight and just kick his ass, and then all of a sudden neither does he talk, he smells real bad, but still kicks your ass at fucking Warhammer. Yeah. I'd be very disappointed.
Imagine he rolled hot and took out one of your knights turn one, and you just saw in his lap a little lift of the cloth as he got excited. That's his only response to playing.
What would be like he got there and he started rolling all with his own mind and everything, but he's just really unlucky and just rolling ones and twos the whole time.
He'd definitely be moaning about the dice roll.
You just see one little tear come out of his eye hole.
Yeah. He'd be what people refer to as that guy, just the guy that you don't want to play with, who just questions all your rules but knows all the rules and doesn't stop complaining about the dice.
I feel like he would know all the rules. He's more like the overbearing guy that works at Games Workshop than someone you actually play. An ever presence in the background.
What about playing like one of the Watchers in the Dark? The little Dark Angels dudes, and you could just make sure they were like shorter than the table, so they couldn't really see what was going on.
But then they'd grass you up though. They're fucking grasses, those boys. They'd snitch on you. They'd tell some Dark Angel, this boy's cheating, and then his Dark Angel mates would give you a wedgie or something.
I think it could be fun to play with an orc. That would be my choice. I'm going to pick one of the freebooters. The pirate lads. You could have a drink. I think they'd like it. And I'd
be interested to see some of their army as well, like an army that had been assembled with that kind of orc design philosophy, where everything's just kind of he just licks on the arm and sticks it on, and it sort of somehow manages to stay on or whatever.
The kind of guy that turns up with a Space Marine army that's not even put together properly, and he's just like, look at my army, isn't it great? And you're like, you've just like randomly stuck bits of Space Marine together. Cool.
I've made my own faction.
How's it that old saying goes? Madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, I guess you can go ahead and call me mad at this point, because I've been looking at these case files for as long as it takes to smoke 2 packs of Luckies and drink a stiff shot of bourbon, and all I kept seeing was the same cunts staring back at me. Hell, any one of them belonged behind bars for the terrible things they'd done over the years, but which one of them was the worst? Like a blind proctologist, I knew I was getting close to the worst asshole in the universe, but I wasn't quite there yet. Something still didn't add up. And then it hit me. Like a hobo that'd fallen asleep on a train track, it hit me. The missing piece of the puzzle that had been so obvious the whole time. I guess I just hadn't wanted to believe it. I had to go away and tell the rest of the bastard squad immediately.
So guys, I wanted to bring this to your attention. Matt, I know you're only 1 day away from retirement, so I need you to get your eyes on this quick shot, but what do we think about the Emperor maybe being the biggest cunt in the universe? Because let's face it, he's done a lot of cuntish things, and
Yeah.
he's not. We've talked about it many times before. I think if he's not a
Many
cunt, he is
times.
at least a very bad parent.
Yeah.
And that has caused too many. Everything in 40k essentially has been caused by just how bad a parent the Emperor was.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Not even just his parenting style, but his parenting from a scientific side. Not only did he look after them badly, but he designed them badly. Let's make someone who has loads of uncontrollable rage.
What kind of parent loses 22 kids?
And in such a ridiculous way as well. He's like, let's just blast the gene seeds all over the universe for no particular reason. And hopefully none of them will end up getting lost or in their hands of chaos or anything, which I know about, by the way, as the Emperor. You know,
he
set himself up
I know
to
what's
fail.
out there. But some say that was all part of his plan. But who knows?
Other cunts say that.
Yeah. I mean, we delve into it in great detail in the Magnus episode, but why doesn't he tell Magnus, or why does he make them all suffer?
He does make them suffer. You're right.
Yeah,
it seems so unnecessary.
Absolutely. I mean, we've talked about a couple of them. I mean, we always mention the fact that the two redacted chapters literally must have just been fucking sucking on rodent balls or something when he showed up, because there's no way. Like, if you're like, oh yeah, Conrad Kurz, he's a keeper. Yeah, no worries there. But the rest of those other two guys.
But this is another point, isn't it? In his folder, this is a whole nother chapter before the Space Marines, before the Primarchs. There's the Thunder Warriors. The Thunder Warriors, his proto Space Marine legions who reconquer the Earth, the home planet of humanity that has been through numerous nuclear conflicts over thousands of years of complete chaos and anarchy, and he kills them all.
But I think a lot of it you can put down to he wants to be in charge. These are side effects of that. He did for some readings, he's done his best designing these people and they've gone. But even when he gets there and decides to keep them alive, the way he introduces himself is often so prickish. Like, he could walk out of the ship and not make everyone on the entire planet bow. Like, he doesn't have to make them all bow, but they do. He could just look like a normal man. When he finds Mortarion, instead of being like helping Mortarion from the shadows so that Mortarion can actually do the one thing he wanted to do, which is kill his oppressor, he just like moseys on in there and kills him. And he's like, oh, sorry, I know you wanted to do that and I probably could have helped you, but I've done it now. So get in the plane. Do you know what I mean? Like, he doesn't even introduce himself nicely to these people.
No. So he lacks manners as well as just his actions. Yeah,
for sure.
Obviously now people are like, oh, well, he's the thing that protects the universe, his psychic shield or whatever. But it's too little too late, really. I mean, after you've unleashed chaos and then you like it's like blasting someone's kitchen with a hose and then showing up with a sheet of tissue paper and be like, don't worry, I'll soak it up. Do you know what I mean? It's too little too late. And we need he's not my emperor, not in my name. Oh no, I think this goes right the way to the top, boys. I think the biggest cunt in the universe really might be the emperor himself. All the people that we've talked about, let's face it, everyone from the biggest cunt section from before this, I mean, except for the Catans and the Tau, have all in some way been a result of the emperor's actions. We've maybe said in the past that maybe he is supposed to kind of represent mankind as a whole, and the fact that even when we as men try to do like something good, we often end up fucking it up and doing something that's completely the opposite to how we were thinking. But at the same time, if you knew that the evil was out there and you didn't tell anybody about it and you tried to hide people from it and all of that kind of stuff, then you were destined to fail.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the fact that the Astronomicon is just a massive light shining out of a giant cunt at the center of the universe. I'd agree. Here's the proto cunt. But maybe I don't think he's the biggest at the same time. I feel like he thought. I
don't think so.
He thought enough of the time. He thought he was doing the right thing.
Well,
can you be a cunt if you genuinely think you're doing the right thing?
Absolutely, I would say that.
I think
every cunt probably thinks they're doing the right thing. You know, like
I don't know. I think the High Lords of Terror. They know they're cunts and they don't care because they've got ultimate power. They don't care that they're a cunt. The Emperor, I think, would care if people thought he was a cunt.
I feel like the Emperor was almost autistic in the way that he went after something with a lack of empathy, in that he was so convinced his route was the right thing to do. Whereas there are people in the 40k universe that are aware that what they're doing causes harm. I feel like he lacked empathy and that maybe can't be blamed for it as a result, whereas other people knowingly inflict pain.
But it's bizarre to do it then under the shroud of doing good, and to give it this empathetic twist on it, where he's kind of like he wants to reunite man and bring everybody together and all this, which is essentially kind of like, it's hard to argue with something like that. Oh, you want to bring people together and do this nice thing, and everyone's kind of like, oh yeah, I can get down with that. It's like when you first hear what communism is, you're like, oh, everybody shares shit. That sounds awesome. Yeah, all right. And then it's like,
I was going to say,
before you know it, bam, Castro.
The way what you just said there kind of made me think like the Emperor is basically mankind's ethereal. So you said like the communism and like, so he has his ultimate aim, which is probably his aim is probably a good thing, what he's trying to achieve, and he does everything to achieve it. And he is going to have to be a cunt at some point along those lines. And the ethereals, they have this aim that they're trying to achieve, and they will be a cunt in order to get to it, but they're trying to achieve something that's worthwhile of being a cunt.
But at least the ethereals acknowledge the fact that there is a secret. They're like, there is this greater good. We're not going to tell you what it is. We are the keepers of that secret. Where the Emperor was like, chaos. No, mate, never heard of them. Don't know what you're talking about. And then
But he was doing that because he thought it was the best thing to do to shield people from it.
But the proof is in the pudding, And now we've got a 10,000 years of war. So
yeah. And
I guess the question is, though, if the Emperor is mankind's ethereal, who's got their hoof in his ass?
Probably one of these High Lord of Terrors. Probably get in there and mess around with him whilst draw dicks on his face and stuff.
Do you think the Golden Throne is actually like one of those Sibian things? Those like
he's cummed himself to a skeleton.
The astronomical will go out when he's finally released his load.
The last drop of Jesus left the Emperor.
I thought the oceans on Earth had dried up. I know what the biggest cunt is in the galaxy.
What is it, Matt? What's this hot lead that's just come in?
I know I'm retiring tomorrow, but I've cracked the case. I've done it.
All
my experience has led up to this point.
Matt, stay with us, Matt. Are you there?
No, I'm dead.
Oh, Matt, dear sweet Matt, our golden boy, the sweetest prince of Brighton town. Come on, Welshie, help me take his shattered corpse home to his widow.
Unless he did always want to ride the Emperor's throne.
And so the bastard squad did what any good teammates would do, and strapped their deceased friend into the Emperor's sex thrones, whilst taking the Emperor's bones home to face justice in a court of law. And it doesn't matter where you are and what you're doing, if you're being a cunt, there's a chance the bastard squad is already on your trail.
Check this out.
Okay, welcome back everybody to the last part of the show, the Lords of Law quiz, where I pit Matt and Welshie against each other in a 40k quiz to find out who is the Lord of Law. And this time I've got another quiz about weird 40k facts. So, are you guys ready for this?
Always.
Yeah. Okay, so question number 1. The shape of the Astartes power pack was designed to represent a real life thing, but what was it designed to represent?
I I've always thought it looked a bit like a jetpack, but yeah.
Everybody, when you first start playing, everybody does think they're
they
jetpack.
think it's a jetpack. Yeah.
I'm gonna go very basic. I think like a backpack with a rolled up sleeping mat like in it. It's that kind of shape, you know, coming across the top.
Spot on, Welshie. That's a point.
Oh, right.
Really?
It's
Bloody
designed
hell.
to be a high-tech visual counterpart of a Napoleonic soldier's backpack with bedroll.
Oh, nice. Amazing.
So 1 point for Welshie there. What is a Gene Stealer Oracle? An oracle, a Gene Stealer Oracle. So this would be a part of the Gene Stealer cult type thing from Rogue Trader days. What would a Gene Stealer Oracle be?
Is that like the grandmother?
No, it's not the grandmother.
It's not like the sire one, because the first one eventually turns into a patriarch. If I got that right.
I'll give you a clue.
Is it someone that can see into the like a Gene Stealer cult that can see into the future?
No, I'll give you a clue. It is a patriarch.
Oh, okay.
It's a patriarch with something special about them.
Is it a female
qualified.
patriarch? A matriarch?
No.
Is it a grandmother female patriarch?
I can give you a clue. It has nothing to do with being a grandmother, Matt.
Oh, damn it. Is it? I keep thinking it's a stone for some reason.
Yeah, it's not.
Like a
I'm
kidney
going to be
stone.
honest with you, Matt. You are way off with a couple of your suggestions.
Is a patriarch that can fly?
No, okay. I don't think you guys are going to get.
Oh, is it like
a
religious patriarch? No, I don't know. I don't even know what a patriarch is.
An oracle is a patriarch that has invited possession by a chaos demon to gain power. So this is back from the Rogue Trader days when you know how the old big fat patriarch on the throne there, and it could have the one with all the chaos signs and stuff on it. That would have been a Gene Stealer oracle.
So funny bits of lore like that just can't work now in the lore.
Oh,
that just couldn't happen. It
is funny. Okay, so in Warhammer Fantasy Old World, so this is going back to old school Warhammer, some raving lunatics from Warhammer Fantasy had visions from Warhammer 40,000. What did they see?
I am going to say it was the Slan conquering the galaxy.
No, it's a bit more current than that, I would say.
The invasion of the Tyranids, maybe.
No, it's not the invasion of the Tyranids either. I'll give you a clue. They foresaw a faction. They foresaw one of the chapters of Space Marines coming about. Could you know which chapter of Space Marines they saw coming about? Apparently so.
What? The Rainbow Warriors.
No, it wasn't the Rainbow Warriors, I'm afraid, Welshie. They were described as a scourge that no old world race could halt.
The Plague Nurgle, the Death Guard?
I'm afraid it was the Emperor's children. Apparently, raving lunatics from Warhammer Fantasy had visions of the Emperor's children coming to Earth.
That is weird.
It is weird, isn't it? Okay, what was the name of the evil warp race that almost wiped out life in the galaxy and forced the Necrons into sleep?
The old ones?
We talked about them before.
Not just the old ones.
The old ones?
Not the old ones, no. They're like, I think they're like big floating testicle-y type things with...
the Uvarth?
No. We've definitely talked about them, I'm sure we have. Apparently... they used to have rules, this faction. This is back to Rogue Trader again, and had a series of psychic points to take control of enemy units and add them to their own army.
God, this is ringing a bell now.
So they sort of stole people from the other army.
The Enslavers.
The Enslavers, Welshie. Give yourself a point. The Necromunda noble spirers are known for housing and keeping and hunting down very high-tech pieces of equipment. But which alien race are they known to trade with for some of these high-tech pieces? Much against the Emperor's chagrin. I'll give you one guess each because there's only so many factions.
Matt's gone Eldar. I'll go Tau.
Matt's gone Eldar.
Tau.
Welshie, you're fucking steaming away with this.
Yes.
That's Tau it is.
I hope there's not some kind of last question where Matt can win it all.
I hope there is.
What is the most poisonous recorded creature in the 40k universe?
Oh, it's that Catachan thing. Or that thing we've spoken about it.
We've talked about it.
This podcast. God damn it. Yeah, it's
there's a Catachan devil, but I'm not going for that. I'm going for the Catachan, the fucking towel thing, the Catachan towel of death or whatever. I can't remember what it's called.
Towel, the face eater.
The face eater towel.
Okay, so Catachan face eater from Welshie. If you've just started listening to the show, is a creature that disguises itself as a face towel, hangs around in bathrooms, and then when Catachan guys come and try to use it, it eats their face. That is a legitimate piece of lore someone was paid to make up and write.
Oh man, I know it's on Catachan, but I don't know what it is. It's not the Catachan devil because you get like eaten by that, but it's a plant.
It's a plant, you reckon?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid that you're wrong. It is the Catachan great barking toad. That emits poison so deadly it can kill every living creature within a kilometre, including the toad itself. That's how deadly they are.
Wow. I like how we've now done this podcast for so many episodes. We're forgetting lore that we've gone through ourselves as part of the Lords of Lore.
Certainly are. So this is another Rogue Trader question. The Slann had rules for Rogue Trader, but what kind of weapons did they use?
Well, I mean, they're like giant frogs, so I would think they've got like super strong tongues, and lightning coming out of their hands, and psychic bombards, psychic shrieks.
I like the tongue idea. I'm gonna go for some kind of like those toads that get the big swollen necks and blow those kind of big bubbles of ribbit sound, like a kind of bubble chucker gun. I'm gonna go something like that. I literally don't know. Maybe some kind of venom squirter instead of a flamethrower.
I mean, they should have really employed you guys to come up with the lore for it, because the actual lore is they've got crossbows. So make it that way. But they're more like kind of, that guy, like Chewbacca's crossbow from like, kind of weird.
Like laser crossbows.
Yeah. So in Rogue Trader, again, these are all Rogue Trader based questions because let's face it, that was the weirdest time of Warhammer. What did the Imperial Guard have access to? What vehicle did the Imperial Guard have access to, which they no longer have, which is
Land Speeder.
It is Land Speeder. Land Speeders and jet bikes. Okay, that brings us on to the last question, which, as you know, is worth 50 points.
Outrageous.
Which is, in Rogue Trader, what was the weirdest race that could be infected by chaos? So, obviously, you've got people and humans can be affected by chaos. You don't see Chaos Tau. You don't really see, Chaos Elder, essentially kind of Dark Eldar and Slanesh stuff. But what was the race that was... this is quite a an opinionated question, I guess. But what's the strangest race that could be got by chaos?
I think Chaos Orcs in Rogue Trader.
Orcs, okay.
I think that's weirder than the Gene Stealer cults could be, but I'm gonna go Orcs.
I think that's a good guess because I think that's a good guess. I mean, to be honest, I can't really think of anything other than what we've spoken about on Orcs, so I've got to try and come up with something different.
Maybe they're not. They might be so old. This
race.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to be able to guess that, but
I can change.
You would be able
answer.
To guess.
Can I change my answer to the old ones, please?
Chaos old ones. Okay. Yeah, I'll let you change that.
That's interesting. Squats, but I don't even know if they were in Rogue Trader. Chaos Squats.
You might have got it there.
I think Chaos Squats.
Chaos Squats. And in that upset, Matt wins 50 fucking points.
Every bloody time.
Thanks, everybody. This has been the Massive Cunts episode of Large Blast Podcast. I've been your host, Stoney. Say goodbye, Matt and Welshie.
Goodbye, Matt and Welshie. How many times did we say cunt?
How
many times did we say it?